This is the Concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, we're going to be diving into what you can't get from a hotel concierge here in Las Vegas. So I've done plenty of episodes of what you can get from a concierge and utilize, and all those, the things that we like to talk about, the things you can get, for free, get, services from. But being back into sort of like the workforce of a hotel concierge, it's kind of fun because, well, it's kind of fun, and these parts aren't so fun, is that people will ask you for certain things, and you're not able to assist them with that because, everybody thinks they are the only person in a hotel. When remember, in a hotel like where I work, we have about 3,000 hotel rooms, so that's a lot of guests. So we'd love to treat you as special as you think you are, but it doesn't always work that way, just in terms of what we can gain and access and other things that are sort of outside of our control. Although I do have a little story of something that I did today, which I think was kind of fun, that I'll share you as much as I can on the other side. So we're going to be diving into what you can't get from a Vegas concierge coming up next. Okay, Ray, so let's go ahead and dive into our first segment of the day, which is news around Las Vegas. Slight little updates. So this month, which is the beginning of April, we have a couple shows at the Sphere. We have the Eagles performing for a weekend. We had Illenium that performed this past weekend, which is a DJ. Honestly, it looks really cool, like if you were actually there for sort of like a rave. Not my thing, because I'm old now. But the Eagles are this weekend, and I believe for the rest of April is Fish, which people love Fish. Like, it's wild. There's a lot of, 45-plus people out there that just love coming to the Fish concert at the Sphere, which is, I understand. Also, they're going to be having a Bruno Mars parade as they rename the street that is right next to T-Mobile Arena and Park MGM. I forget what day that parade is. Of course, I would bring it up and then not be able to find it. But that's all my fault. I'm sorry, guys. I'm actually trying to pull it up as we're talking here. So MGM Grand Resorts. Yes, it is one of those things where there's a rumor that MGM Resorts. There is a rumor out there that Bruno Mars has an extreme gambling debt to MGM Resorts, which, may or may not be true, but very well could be. And that's why he keeps performing at T-Mobile Arena. At the Dolby Theater, which is at Park MGM. But this will be on Friday, April 10th, is the Bruno Mars Parade, which will start at just in front of the Bellagio and then go all the way down till it gets to the newly minted Bruno Mars Drive, which is right where T-Mobile Arena is. So kind of how they use for the championship parade route when the Aces win every year. So that's just a little bit news, what's going on at the Sphere and all those other good things. And yeah, so I think this segment is fun just to sort of pop it out. I did have people ask if I was going to be doing a WrestleMania podcast. I did one last year, and this year, I think I might do one. I think WrestleMania is not till more into the summer, so maybe as we get closer. But as information kind of pops out, I'll try to cover it. But yeah, it is one of those things where you can go and they have a WrestleMania hotel that has it's like a WrestleMania Fest, I guess. It's not the exact name of it, but you go and they have all the performers there. You can take pictures, autographs. Obviously, it's massive, and they have a bunch of hotels that are the what's what I'm looking for. They're the sponsored hotels that are hosting it, and it'll be at Allegiant Stadium, which I think people really like. I think people dig that it's in. Again, this is me living in Las Vegas. I think people do dig that it is here every year. I'm sure if you're on the East Coast, I'm sure you hate it because people on the East Coast have to hate everything. No offense, but offense. But hey, it's okay. I love going to the Breeders' Cup, and I think the Breeders' Cup should only be in California. And a lot of the hardcore people are like, no, it should be on the East Coast. So it is one of those things. So getting out of this segment, segueing our way into some recent things. So I was able to work up at the VIP part of our hotel, and it is a completely different world. So I can't tell you everything that happened because it's highly private, but what I can say is that if you like, when I go up there and seeing how they operate, it's what I think like a 5-star, 5-diamond hotel should operate as. They are so deliberate with everything that they do. Everything is so much faster, and the way they operate and move around the property is just like they're literally like ninjas. It's so cool to see them operate in the VIP part of our property, and see how like the butlers move, and they just everything is so like not casual. It's so effortless. That's the best word for it, because they're very attentive to everything, which I really appreciate. Like, I felt like I was just in the way, to be honest. But I went up there to like help out, like maybe answer some phones, and I was still like, intimidated because you don't have access to everything sometimes, especially when it's like your first day. But just being able to be up there and sort of soak it all in, I really enjoy it. Like, it actually energized me to like work in hospitality, to get to that level, because I think that is the level that I want to be operating at. If you ever watch the movie Made in Manhattan, there's a scene at the very beginning of the movie where they're all getting into the hotel, they have a pre-shift, and they're explaining of every single guest that is in their hotel. That is actually what it was like. Like, it was so cool. They're like, this guest is staying here. They have these preferences. And that's what you get when you stay in places like the Skyloft, for example. I'll use that as the example for this particular place. And it's just, it's part of the price that you pay. Also, like the fact that everybody who has specific, needs will have like a driver is really cool. Don't abuse it. I think that is the thing that I would like to say, is if you are able to stay at these levels of the hotel, don't abuse the driving privileges, or do whatever you want to do. It's your thing. But I do have to say that was a really fun experience to check that out, and I was honestly like in awe of how they were being able to pull it off. It was so great. So let's get into the beef of the episode, which is what you can't get from the concierge. So the reason I bring this up is that there are a lot of preconceived notions, true and not true sometimes, about concierge. Yes, we do know like how to get things, and also how to like get reservations, how to find unique things, like, oh, you need like an office chair, or you need balloons, or oh, you need a little person to come to a birthday. We can find things like that, and that's cool. It takes some time, obviously, but there is a level of like, if you really want something, you can pay for it and we can have it done. But there are like some guests who want certain things that are sometimes like out of our control, or they're more expensive. So I recently had a guest that was going to the Grand Canyon, and they walk up and they say, well, I want to go to the Grand Canyon, and when I'm at the canyon, I want to be with the tour guide the entire time. Which, honestly, to me, as a tour guide and as like a guest, I would hate that. Like, I personally like to explore on my own. And I actually used to be a tour guide. And when I had a guest who was like, I need to stay with you the entire time when I'm at Fremont Street, I wanted to die. I was like, I cannot handle this. Like, I have to spend a whole hour. I spent a whole 2 hours driving on the bus, and now I have to spend an hour with you on Fremont at nighttime with music where you can't hear me. And it's honestly like my break where I go and I like have like dinner. And now I have to deal, with you. So no offense to the person that I had to do that for one time. But I was not a fan. I did not want to stay with you for the entire hour. So what happens is when you get to the Grand Canyon, for those of you ever thinking about doing this, is that when you get to the Grand Canyon, especially if you're doing a ground tour, for most companies, you get there, you get sort of told like, hey, there's a shuttle system to go to the different lookout points at the canyon, whether it's the West Rim or the South Rim. The South Rim has better roads because it's a national park. But you kind of like are on your own for like 3 hours, and you can go to the different spots and you can look out and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's sort of like it is self-guided. But I did have this guest who wanted to be with the tour guide the entire time, and most of the companies that go to the Grand Canyon are big tour bus companies. Like they have like 40 to 50 guests on a tour bus, which again is a lot of people to wrangle. And once you get to the Grand Canyon, especially the West Rim, they put you like in smaller shuttles that you do have to go to different places where, yes, you are going to you're going to get split up. There is only one company that you actually stay together the entire time, and that is Pink Jeep Tours. Because Pink Jeep Tours will stay with you and go to different locations with you. The tour guide will be with you for the entire time, except when I think you go to the visitor center, which is quite nice. And it's like sort of like a little museum to the Grand Canyon. But that's what it's for. And you can't get lost in there. And this guest wanted to be with somebody, and it was the more expensive tour because it is a smaller group. It's 12 people. So I can't make the other companies tell the tour guide to stay with you. That's not something I can guarantee, and we don't like to do those kind of things. We don't like to pawn like our guarantee onto somebody else. Like that's really bad business, and it looks really bad on you, because if they don't want to do it, they can come back and be mad about it. So that is one thing that the guests ended up not wanting to book it. They didn't like the price, and that's kind of the way it goes. If you want certain things, you got to pay for them. That's the way that it goes. I did have also like a recent guest that was staying in the regular part of the hotel, and it was and this is the funny thing, is that they had very specific instructions for like the food that they can eat. And yeah, I don't know, like it was just like really specific on what they didn't want, which I totally get her sentiment. But for us as the concierge, like we have so many restaurants on property that we would have to call and do all this legwork, which again, if you were staying in like the VIP part of the hotel, maybe they would be able to do it. Like they would probably be able to put together a box like this, put something very specific together, because they actually have a kitchen that makes stuff just for the VIP part of the VIP floors of the hotel. And that's very doable, like, because they have access to that. That was a cool thing that I noticed, is that they order for the guests, like in-room dining. We don't do that at our concierge. Most concierge don't do that. On the Strip, we do not have access to in-room dining. We don't take orders. We usually do amenities because those are very specific. Those are pre-made. But like any specific food order, that has to go to in-room dining. So this person wanted me to like find every single restaurant on property and whittle down all the items that they can eat, and then send them sort of like, and then they wanted us to actually arrange that a morning box, every day that they were in Vegas, to be sent to their room for breakfast. And it's like, yeah, that's nice. Like if we were like the Beverly Hills Hotel or the Beverly Wilshire in Hollywood, or like a Ritz-Carlton, for example, where they don't have as many guests, where that would be something that we'd be able to focus on. We can't do that. So that was a very tough one to say, like, I'm sorry, like we can't accommodate this. Like there's too many things that are required and coordinate to do all that. So it was a tough one. Like we love to say yes. Like that's the thing. We love to say yes, but it's just sometimes not in the cards. Also, you have to sort of tamper your expectations when you want something that, one, is not on our property, but also like a highly regarded thing. So, for example, there are 3 or 4 restaurants that are basically unbookable for a Friday and Saturday night, which, of course, is the night that everybody comes to Las Vegas and wants to dine. So those 4 restaurants are Golden Steer is number 1. You could say Delilah over at the Wynn is also really tough to book as well. You can also throw Carbone in there as well, which that's at the Aria Hotel. And you can also throw in Hell's Kitchen. Those 4 restaurants are essentially the hardest reservations to make, and Carbone Riviera is up there as well, I have to say. So let's say 5 of them. So Carbone Riviera, and then the 3 others that I mentioned, specifically Golden Steer and Delilah's, are difficult. So you have to sort of lower your expectations for those restaurants when it comes to asking a concierge if they can make those reservations, because we will try. We will look, we will call the restaurant, we will call the concierge at those properties, we will see what we can do, but we're really up to the restaurant and what they have available. But some restaurants, this is actually kind of a funny thing, are sometimes easier to book depending on your party size. So I was actually assisting a guest who wanted to dine at Delilah, and they were staying, I believe, Thursday through Monday, so which was helpful. And Friday, Saturday, we just absolutely could not do it. Same thing with Carbone. So it was funny because we asked first, like, she's like, do you have anything available for Delilah? I said, I don't think so. Do you have anything available for Carbone? They didn't. Although they had like a certain time frame. But she was able to work with us because she was like, well, I can also do Sunday if you'd like. So I was like, okay, cool. And then how many in the group? She had a larger group. It was between like 4 and 6 people, which for restaurants like Carbone and Delilah, this is your concierge tip of the day, is that restaurants like Mayfair Supper Club, Carbone Riviera, Delilah, it's actually easier to book a group of 6 than it is a group of 2 or a 2-top, a couple, because they have more of the 4 and 6 top tables than they do couples tables, where they usually sit you at the bar. So if you are coming to Vegas and you have a larger group, it is typically not the end of the world. That goes for things like Poppy Steak or places that have sort of like these like very spectacular rooms that's supposed to be sort of like a clubby kind of thing, or before or after a club, like Tao. They will have a lot more large group tables than they do have small group tables. So we were actually able to make a reservation for her on a Sunday, which was actually fantastic. And I was very happy that we were able to do that. And I felt really good about it. So very, very excited. But yeah, that's another thing. Another thing is that we can't typically make tour companies change their policy for a lot of things. For example, I had a guest who needed to get picked up at our property, but this particular tour only picked up from a property down the street. They had 3 different pickup locations, like a south, middle, and north end. And I asked, obviously, I was like, that guest asked if you can get picked up here for the tour. And they said, no, we can't do it. And then we ended up not booking the tour because of it. So we can only do so much, especially when it's not on our property. So try to understand that you can ask us for things, and when it's on our property, we're obviously a little bit more flexible, whether it comes to, changing a room, we'll contact front desk for that. If it comes to sending things up to the room, taking things out of the room, booking a dinner reservation for one of the restaurants at our hotel, we can have a little bit more leeway because we have connections with our hotel specifically, and we have access to our books and can see how busy it is. But when you're going off property, like, it's much harder to like move the world. Although we can always try. That's our biggest thing, is that we are willing to try, and we're the person that, I think this is the biggest thing about this. Even though I say like these are the things you can't get, we kind of know how to ask for you in a very specific way, because I think especially when stuff comes from a guest, sometimes there are certain keywords and ways to say things that concierge, we are trained and paid to do, that you don't have to, which is kind of the great thing about having a concierge, because we know kind of like where the spots are, where we can kind of get things done. Getting you into impossible things is also another deal. I did have somebody as well like ask us to like, This is always the funniest thing, is that, so I know this is sort of like getting a lot of stuff off my chest here, but I did have a guest who wanted to go to a restaurant, and the last seating for this restaurant was at 8:30 which is quite early, but it was it was early. It was 8:30, and the guests had a very large group, and they also had a credit card on file. So just note, a lot of restaurants, when you have a large group and a credit card on file, and we're within 24 hours of your cancellation, they will charge you. They will sometimes charge you between $25 and $50 per guest if you are going to cancel, because that's somebody's time and pay. And then it was really funny that they said no, we can't move it later because it's our last seating on the hotel on the restaurant side. And the guest said, well, we're the last seating, so they should be able to push it back, no problem. I'm like, oh, so you guys can get here at 11 o'clock, and then then the restaurant has to close at 1 when their last seating was at 8:30 because your group. I thought that was the funniest thing, and they tried to go from another side and say, well, this restaurant, they were late seating us yesterday, so I don't think it's a problem at this restaurant. I'm like, nah, it doesn't work that way. We can't change the way their policy works or their opening and closing hours. Again, it's just wild, those things sometimes. I think another thing that people have trouble understanding about, especially Vegas hotels, and everyone always likes to say, well, Vegas isn't like it used to. Like you used to talk to one guy and things would get done. Well, yeah, that was when hotels had 250 rooms or 300 rooms, like when the Desert Inn opened or the Flamingo. The one guy could probably fix anything in that many rooms. When we have rooms on average in Las Vegas, the average number of hotel rooms is about 2,800 hotel rooms in a hotel. So about 3,000 hotel rooms is the average. You have to have multiple departments. You have to have multiple people touching different things. It's too big of a property. For example, when we have an amenity that gets set up to a room, just giving you an example of why things take long in a hotel, especially a large hotel. So let's just say that you are coming for an anniversary and your kids bought you a chocolate-covered strawberries. So they had to call us, the concierge. We took the order. Then we sent it off to in-room dining where they have to make the order. They keep it there, have it ready. Then your parents come to the hotel. They don't check in at the concierge desk or in-room dining. They check in with the front desk. Front desk will alert either room service or us. A lot of times it comes to the concierge because we're the ones who answer phones. The bakery doesn't really answer phones very often unless it's from us and an emergency. So then they'll call us. We get it. We send it to in-room dining. In-room dining has to get it. They will take the order up. They deliver it to the room. Bob's your uncle. Everybody has their things. That takes 3 departments to do that, minimum. And it's just because the front desk doesn't take, orders, obviously. And you say, well, why does the concierge also check people in? Well, how would you feel if you were coming up to the front desk and you were next in line and the person in front of you just checking in, they're also asking for dinner recommendations and they want to book a tour to the Grand Canyon that they haven't researched and they want to figure out what the prices are as well as when does it pick up. It takes a lot of explaining, especially when you haven't done the tour as a guest, for a concierge to describe what that goes through. And you're just trying to check in. So they are 2 different functions that don't overlap at all. So, and even on to the front desk, side, is that they have to know so many room codes and know how to read just our reservation system. And also know how to check people in, how to do, late checkout, all these things, make keys, file any sort of request that someone has. It's a lot. So I don't want to be a front desk agent, for the longest because that's a tough job. I do enjoy my job for sure because I like making experiences, which that's the fun part. Is there anything else that concierge can't do? There's a lot of personalized things that you will try to do, or somebody will try to get you to do, and they're all very case by case. What's a good one? Can we bring something up to the room? Can you? We'll say oh, can you just run to in-room dining and grab that amenity and bring it up to the room? No, there's sort of a checks and balances of why we can't do that. Also, like, we don't have our food handlers cards, so we can't handle like your food essentially. Another thing is like comping stuff. This is sort of a thing that I had to learn recently, is that at MGM, quite liberal, we were able to comp up to $50 per person, or per room for like an amenity or something. They're not here, which is very common. Like anything after COVID, like they really tightened up like the things that you can comp. So a lot of times you'll hear us say, well, we can certainly arrange something for you for a cost, but we don't have anything complimentary, unfortunately, to send to the room. So that would be like my spiel. I would love to send people free stuff. Like, it is, honestly, I would love to do that. I can't, I'm sorry. But it's okay. It's always good to try. You never know. I've told you guys this on the pod for a long time. Is like, you can all they could say is no, and just be cool about it. Like, there's no need to be mean about these certain things, which is very funny. What's another thing you can't ask for? Oh yeah, this is a huge one. This is like this is probably the top one. So the number one thing people think that they can get out of the concierge is discounted tickets for concerts, even for shows. But let's just stick with concerts. Concerts are not affiliated with hotels. So, like, even concerts at T-Mobile Arena, for example. T-Mobile Arena is owned by MGM Resorts. We used to have access, when I used to work at MGM, and people always ask us for discounts for like Lady Gaga or like whoever's performing in there, like Kelsey Ballerini or Luke Combs when he was like not as big. The hotel doesn't own that concert; they own the venue, and that concert that concert company, usually Live Nation, they set the price. And that's the price, especially along with Ticketmaster. The prices do not go down. The taxes do not go down either. The taxes will always be included, the live entertainment tax. It's a state law, essentially. So I had a guest who I was talking back and forth with, and they were wondering what the price was for tickets for the Sphere. I essentially just went on the website and then told them this is what the price would be for them at the Sphere, and they come back and say, oh, well, that's the exact same price as I'm seeing. I thought you guys had discounts. No, Fontainebleau does not own the Sphere. No hotel owns the Sphere. Even the Venetian is just a partnership because they're connected, but they do not own them. They do not get discounts for the hotel. There is no discount through the concierge. We can get you tickets, especially last minute tickets through our certified ticket brokers, but they are not going to be cheaper. Sometimes they are, especially if it's right before showtime. If you get them 3 hours before the show starts. Sometimes they are discounted because they're trying to unload tickets, obviously. But that's obviously a gamble. Yeah, their tickets are not going to be cheaper. They're meant to be at a markup because they are reselling them for a show that most likely is sold out, and that is why you are buying those tickets. So yes, we can get tickets for you, but usually if it's last minute for those big concerts like the Backstreet Boys or something, the tickets are going to be from at least equal to higher value. That's just the way that the system works. So please do not call your concierge for discounted tickets for shows. Please call us to check tickets for you, because sometimes we do have direct access. For Fontainebleau, we have direct access to the Blue Live Theater, so we're able to see any tickets that are available without any real glitches. We're able to see and sort of maybe see things that are there that are not online. So that's always kind of an interesting thing as well. So hopefully that was a fun episode. I think knowing what your concierge can and can't do is always a big deal. Oh yeah, this was another one. This just happened. So for a lot of resorts on the Strip, we have our pools open, obviously, and this happens a lot, and I'm really sorry that it does. But you'll get your information from somebody over the phone. They're sometimes half informed. This happens a lot. If they are not the concierge really is the person who knows what is going on property. It is our job to know. We will tell you correct information to the best of our ability. We typically double check before we give you any information that we can't like solve on our own. So this one was a guest came to our hotel saying that they spoke to somebody on the phone saying that, oh, you can go to the concierge desk and buy a pass for the pool. That is not true. There's really no desk or concierge desk that I know of that you can go to their desk and buy day pass tickets for the pool. Like an MGM, we didn't do it. Our desk, we don't do it. But there is a company called Resorts Pass that you are able to purchase day passes through there. And they range depending on, how busy the day is. Sometimes they're $35, sometimes they're $50. To my knowledge, you can just purchase a day pass for it and you're good to go. This person kept saying that they had to pay like a fee. They had to pay like a membership fee to be part of Resort. I don't believe that is true. I haven't tried it myself. I've looked at the website. It's actually pretty easy to navigate, and you just type in. I think Fontainebleau is one of the participating pools, but you don't have to pay like a subscription fee. And then like she freaked out, obviously. But yeah, like we don't have the ability. That's the thing, is like we don't have like a ticketing system to do that, and not many places do for the pool specifically. So, yeah, whenever you have those specific problems, the concierge, we do our best to sort of answer those and maybe take care of them as well. But things that are specific, like the pool is a very good example, that people at the pool like to deal with any pool problem. No one likes to deal with problems, but if you got a problem with the pool, go to the pool. It's probably a good place to go. So with that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate you guys. The next episode, we will be doing a hotel highlight. Somebody requested this quite a while back, I believe in February, and we will be doing a hotel highlight for the Planet Hollywood Hotel and Casino, smack dab in the heart of the Strip. Is it good or is it just cheap? Well, we will take a look at it because the answer lies somewhere in the middle. So with that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials, Concierge Confidential _LV, Brian _Ortega 26, and follow us on TikTok at Keys to Vegas. So again, if I see you out in town, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.